Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 things that all great Warzone players do. A lot of these are just going to be like tendencies that can help you with winning gunfights and drastically improve your awareness. You're probably doing a lot of these things already, like subconsciously, but once you take that conscious effort to make sure you're doing them as much as you can, you're going to get a lot better in Warzone and you're going to be winning a lot more fights like easily. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, please remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below which aspect you found most helpful. So the first thing we're going to start off with is some things that can help you win gunfights, and the biggest thing that comes into winning gunfights is going to be cover and movement, like whether you jump shot, whether you drop shot, and if you have any cover. First, we're going to focus on fights where you don't have any cover or you're trying to make a play on somebody who might be camping, and in those situations you're definitely going to want to jump shot or drop shot. Pretty much every fight you probably want to be doing one of these things if the enemy is shooting back at you and you don't already have cover. If you have like a head glitch, that's fine, but if you don't have really good cover, you're going to need a jump shot and you're going to need a drop shot. These are what's going to like tip the scales in a 50-50 gunfight, and you need to be able to do these things subconsciously. So as of now, you might be doing like a jump shot or a drop shot every now and then. Sometimes you just lazily walk around the corner, and sometimes you just jump around the corner and gun the kid. But you want to make an effort to, as often as possible, jump shot or drop shot. That way it just becomes subconscious and becomes something that you can like execute while still maintaining accuracy. If you're new to this, it's probably going to be pretty hard for you to keep your aim on the person while you're jumping or while you're bunny hopping or while you're drop shotting. But as you do it more, you're going to get a lot more consistent with these things, and you're going to be a lot more consistent in your gunfights. So if you don't have the ability to jump shot or drop shot, if you don't know what those things are, drop shotting is when you go prone while you're shooting an opponent, and jump shotting is when you typically sprint into a jump before you start shooting. And with the way bunny hopping works in Modern Warfare, if you jump as soon as you land your jump, you get an extra jump, and this makes it very hard for players to gun you, especially if someone's camping around a corner. You never just want to walk around the corner slowly and peek them. You want to jump around the corner into a bunny hop or jump into a drop shot. You're just making your character model much harder to hit. Think about it this way. If you were fighting somebody, would you prefer they were jumping around or laying down randomly while fighting you? Or would you prefer they just stood still and let you kill them? Like, obviously you would prefer they would stand still and let you kill them. So you want to be jumping or drop shotting as much as you can. Just make yourself a hard target to hit. Make yourself annoying for the other players to fight against, and you're going to be winning a lot more fights in game. If you play default button layout, you probably want to play, I think, tactical bumper jumper as a button layout, or tactical flipped, or use a scuff controller. I personally play claw and have played claw for a long time. That's where your index finger is on the AXBY or triangle circle X square buttons at all times. So I can do these things without taking my thumb off the analog stick. That's the benefit of having some of these other button layouts or scuff controller or playing claw, is that you can jump or lay down without taking your thumbs off the analog sticks. That way you can be aiming while doing so. So make sure you're using movement as much as you can in your gunfights. That way you're a harder target to hit. This next tip is also going to make you a harder target to hit, and that is going to be to move from cover to cover, especially when going across like large distances in Warzone. This is just the way you navigate the map. Let's say you're running through a field and there's some trees that you could potentially put behind or put between you and an opposing player, but you don't necessarily know if there's people there. You just want to move in such a way that there's always cover nearby you. That way, if you do get caught off guard, you have something that you can put between you and the opponent. I'll try to have some clips on screen of this here, but there's a lot of areas in Warzone where you could maybe cross lazily in like 15 seconds, or you could cross properly in like maybe 23. It doesn't take drastically longer, but you just want to always navigate the map in such a way that you have cover between you and someone that might shoot at you. You just need potential cover near you at all times. And when you get in the habit of doing this and just navigating the map naturally in a way where you're close to cover at all times, this is gonna reduce the amount of fights where you just die. When I first started playing the game, there would be some fights where I would just be out in the open and I would just die. And there might have been another path I could have taken that would have given me cover, and it's not like it would have added too much time, but I just wouldn't take it because I was new to the game. And that's something you see with a lot of newer players, is they put themselves in really wide open areas where there's nothing they can really do to protect themselves from enemy fire. So you always want to be thinking, what is your nearest potential cover when navigating around the map? And I don't really have to think about this too much. It was just something I thought about for a little bit, and then I just started naturally doing it at all times. So in terms of playing more consistently, you want to make sure you always have potential cover nearby when you're navigating the map. This next thing is going to be if you're in a gunfight with somebody and you two have exchanged shots. Let's say it's a mid-range gunfight. You've both exchanged shots, plating up, whatever. A lot of players, especially newer players, will just re-peek the same angle over and over again. So let's say you're behind a tree. Another guy is behind another tree. There's more trees and stumps and rocks that you could potentially move to while the other person is plating. But you just stay behind your tree and you keep peeking the right side of the tree. That makes it very easy for your opponent to know where you're going to be peeking from and just keep their crosshair trained on there. But if every time you peek them, you're peeking from a different structure or a different piece of cover, you're oftentimes going to eventually catch the opponent off guard and just get a free beam on them where they aren't even looking at you. And that's going to be the damage you need to potentially finish the fight, close the gap, do whatever you want to do. You might just kill them outright there, but you want to constantly be re-peeking from different things. This is something that probably as COD players, we all struggle with because we might be like hard-headed or just want to like ego challenge the person and just quickly get rid of them. But this is another thing that if you make the conscious effort to work this habit into your gameplay, you're going to be much more consistent in the long run if you just are naturally peeking different angles over time in those longer, more drawn out gunfights. This isn't something that you can always do. There are going to be fights where maybe you're really limited on cover, especially late game, things can get pretty scuffed. But this is once again another habit that you want to have. Just when the opportunities are available, if you're re-peeking from different angles, you're going to give yourself much higher odds of winning the gunfight and not getting killed, especially if the enemy player is using something like a sniper. One shot can put you down. So you want to make sure you're always mixing things up and making yourself a hard target to hit. So that was actually the theme with the first three things, was just making yourself a hard target to hit. Whether you're jump shotting, drop shotting, using cover all the time, re-peeking from different angles and different pieces of cover, you want to always, as often as you can, make yourself a hard target and an annoying player for the enemies to play against. These next things are going to be more about awareness and just reducing the amount of times you get caught off guard. So the first thing is going to be sound. Sound is very important in Call of Duty. I'm sure all of you know that, but maybe people coming from other games. I know there's a lot of people that play Warzone that didn't necessarily play Call of Duty in the past, but sound is very important. And there's a lot of things that you can take from sound in this game. You can hear reloads, equipment players throw, doors being opened, glass being broken, people being revived, I think, someone using self-res. There's a lot of audio cues in this game, and you want to make sure you're always listening and keeping an ear out for them. I'm going to have my sound settings on screen. I use boost high. You want to make sure you have the music volume off. And this would be nice if there was a setting to only play music in the menu, because that isn't too bad. But in game, you don't want to randomly hear music while you're trying to figure out where a player is. Let's say you think you hear some footsteps, and then the game starts randomly playing music, and then that masks the sound of like a door opening or more footsteps that you could have heard. It's just not good. And so you want to turn that music volume all the way off. I turn the announcers down, I think, as well. But it more just comes down to listening for it and getting used to it. A lot of people put way too much stock in their headset. Like, oh, I don't have a $250 headset, so I can't hear footsteps at all. And that's just not true. Those higher end headsets are nice. I personally use Astro A40s. But even with like a $30 headset or some earbuds, I would be able to hear a lot of footsteps. Like a good headset, like let's say any headset probably gets you like 80% of what you can as far as like using sound to your advantage. And that good headset just gets you like those little bit extra. Most of what you can get out of sound can be got on any headset. It just takes the effort and the conscious, habit of listening for footsteps and understanding what these audio cues mean. That's another big thing. And that's just going to come from playing and trying to use sound to your advantage. The more you play and the more you do that, the more you're going to understand what certain sound means. And then you're just going to automatically know how to play off that. So make sure you're using sound to your advantage. Turn the music volume off. It's probably best not to be listening to music when playing or a stream or whatever. I mean, we all do it sometimes, but if you want to play and do like the best you can and get better, you're going to want to turn all that stuff off and just focus on the game. And sound is very, very useful in this game. I came from Fortnite before this. I played Call of Duty a lot in the past, but coming from Fortnite recently, I love how useful the sound in this game is and how good the sound in this game is, because sound in Fortnite was not always the most helpful thing. The final thing is just going to be using your minimap. This is another thing, if you've played Call of Duty a lot in the past, you probably already naturally do this quite well. But a lot of people coming from other BRs and other games probably don't do this nearly as well. You want to always be paying attention to the minimap, glancing at it, taking note of what's going on it. There's a lot of things that you can notice in Warzone that would be an advantage on the minimap. So there's vehicles. They show when an enemy player is in them. And they also show when an enemy player gets out of them. And that could be very helpful. There's contracts. There's enemy player fire. There's loadouts if your loadout is somewhere. And there may be more things that I'm just not remembering off the top of my head. But mainly the red dots, whenever anybody shoots without a silencer, they show on the minimap. And most times you're not really going to know exactly where they are just from that. So you're going to want to open your map quickly and then see where they are and close your map. Also, being very aware of all the contracts that are around you, you'll know if someone picks it up. Like, if you're just constantly paying attention to the minimap and taking little mental notes to yourself, it doesn't take a lot of conscious effort once you get in the habit of doing it. But let's say there's a scavenger contract near you, and then you see, oh, that scavenger contract's gone now. Someone must have picked that up. They don't just disappear unless zone hits it. So being aware of what contracts are nearby can be very, very, very helpful to you. Also, like, let's say a bounty contract is nearby. I've had this happen several times where I know a bounty contract is nearby, and then I see it's gone and it says there's a bounty on me. I know exactly where that player is going to be coming from and what route they're probably going to use to push me. So I'm going to be able to like set up and get a really easy kill on them. So not only paying attention to the red dots, that's something that obviously everyone does. They see the red dots and then they know where someone is, or they see like the red dots when their UAV sweeps and they know where someone is, but also paying attention to the contracts, paying attention to the vehicles. Oftentimes there might be a vehicle parked somewhere, and that's not a spot where a car spawns. So you know that like someone had to drive that there. They may or may not be in that house still, but it can give you a good like piece of information that there's potential that there's someone could be there. There's so many little things like that that you can take away from the minimap, and that's why you want to constantly be paying attention to it at all times. Obviously, if you're just tunnel visioned and on the minimap, you're gonna miss a lot of people and probably die. This needs to be a secondary thing that you're just kind of always glancing at and paying attention to. And if you've played Call of Duty a lot in the past, you're probably used to that. That's what I was saying before. I know that I just built this skill up over several years of playing Call of Duty. The same thing with using sound to your advantage. A lot of people might think it's dumb to call using sound a skill, but it really is. And the more time you actually try to get better at that, the better you're going to be at it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful or informative. If you would like to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments down below. There's more videos or more like topics I could kind of cover in this aspect, maybe things like mistakes that bad players do. So let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys another time. Thanks for watching.